Hello, everyone. This is Imran Amed, founder and CEO of the Business of Fashion. I am delighted that you're here to join us for our latest BoF Live event. Today, we have the pleasure of having a masterclass with none other than Drew Elliott. Many of you will know Drew from his star turn on the television show America's Next Top Model. He's also got a big shiny new role at M.A.C. But before that, he was our professor on a digital marketing course for BoF Education. Welcome, Drew.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
A pleasure. Where are you today in the world?
I am in my apartment in New York City, and I have remained home I'm on day 10 of remaining inside and at home.
Why so long? Why have you been on lockdown for that long?
It's just, I've just remained home and just stayed here, just in advance of everything that's happening and just working from here.
Okay. And how are you coping with this new working situation? What's it been like for you?
I think actually it's become busier. I'm like, oh goodness, you're going to be at home, and actually you understand that it's going to be busier because I think between all of the meetings that we're having in video conferencing, and then also just keeping up with all of the different components, and then also just your real life. I feel like I'm in touch with more people, my old camp friends and people like that. It's just everyone checking in, which is quite, I think it's nice to see how people digitally reach out. And I think I'm reconnecting with people that I hadn't before.
Well, great. We're delighted that you were able to join us for this masterclass. I don't want to waste time because there are more than 300 people waiting to hear your perspectives. I'm going to ask one question, which is on my mind, and then I thought we could open it up to the community that's joining us from all around the world. But your course on digital marketing has been really popular on BoF since we launched it a few years ago. How are you thinking about digital marketing now in this context that we're in? Because obviously, when there's a humanitarian crisis
Sure.
Unfolding around the world, it is even more important to think about the tone and the voice that you use. So what advice would you offer to people who are thinking about digital marketing in this current context?
I think for digital marketing, I think it's the way that we can connect with our customers, our readers, our fans, our friends. And so I think the key thing and most important thing is I think we have to remember where people are. So everyone might not be experiencing the same exact thing that you are. And so that's my number one. So when you are building things out for specifically global platforms, you have to understand that everyone is in a little bit of a different place at this time. So I think number one, obviously approaching it with a tone that's appropriate for the time is number one. And then number two, just keeping sure that what you're communicating is going to be something that can be globally understood. And whether that's just a simple, we're touching base, or whether that is, tactical things that you're doing, or information that is needed for your customer. I think you have to make sure that you're very specific to make sure that you're thinking of all people and not just your situation. Because when you're at home and you're sitting there and thinking of all the things that are impacting you, that may be very different than what is impacting someone elsewhere in the world.
Okay. I mean, I think that's a really important consideration right now. I have seen some marketing messages that have made me go, is that like an automated campaign? Like, would you really send that out now? Is that the right message to use?
And I think, I think that this is where we have to take inventory. I think if you are, in charge of a digital channel, if you are in charge of a social handle, I think you have to take inventory of, because we have so many automated systems, we have so many different ways that we've, filled the systems. And I think you have to take inventory of all of those different things and make sure that those messages are going to be appropriate at this time. I think, you know, to your point, I think we're seeing things, and I think on the flip side also, people do want to see you know, content that is not just specifically about the health crisis that we are in. They are wanting to see other content, that they're wanting entertainment or content or whatever it may be that you are creating. They do want you know, some escape, but they also want to make sure that you are addressing what is happening. So I think it's a duality of those two things together.
Okay. Well, I would like to turn it over to some of our the people that are waiting. And I think we have someone named Federica in Italy who has a question. I'm not sure that she is ready, but let me just check with the team here and see if we can get Federica's question in. If she's not ready, I can ask her question on her behalf. And maybe that's what I'll just go ahead and do, since she doesn't seem to be joining. But linked to my question, oh, Federica is ready. There she is. So it's Federica Wilson. So we're going to bring Federica up on the screen so that she can ask her question. Federica, are you there? There you are.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hi, Federica. Where in Italy are you today?
In the province of Treviso. I don't know
In
if you know.
Treviso. Okay, yes, of course. How is everything in Italy?
Well, in our area is quieting down a little bit. So we are supporting the measures that the government is giving us. We are trying to do our best, and you know, little by little, hopefully something good will develop.
Well, our thoughts are with all of you in Italy. But did you want to ask your question to Drew?
Yes. I'm pretty much interested in learning how we can develop an appropriate aesthetic mindset when it comes to digital marketing, so as to be able to choose content, images, and everything that can engage the public, but that can be also appreciated by the public. So that is not something that I as an individual like, but that also other people can like and appreciate.
Sure. It's a great question.
Thank you.
And I echo Imran, you know, please stay safe, and I you know, we're thinking about you. But
Drew, do you just want to repeat the question too? Because some people said they couldn't hear. So of course. So Frederica's question is around the aesthetics and really building content that not just appeals to yourself, but would appeal to your audience or a larger audience at scale. And I think it's a great question. And I think, so there are many steps to this. And I believe the first one is to understand the complexion of your audience. And when I say that, what I mean is understand who is it that you're delivering this message to. Is it a specific targeted segment, or is it your whole audience? And if it's your whole audience, whether that be a CRM, you know, email database, or whether that be a you know, a whole social profile, you have to really take them into account. So what are the things that they've liked? What is the data and information that you've received back? What are the things that they've already raised their hand and said, I like that, or that's something I want, or something that you've seen an enormous uptick on sharing? So take all of those components, and you need to do an inventory of that on a regular basis so that you understand what is your audience actually, what is the most sticky piece? And then you can start taking clues from that, whether it's, oh, you know, this is a product image and I've shot it in this way, or, you know, this is if I style a coat like this, or, you know, whatever it may be. There are small nuances. If you used an influencer, if you used, you know, a funny message, or if you know, brought something into the world from the internet that's you know, percolating in culture. What are all of those signifiers? And you have to break down each of your images from the past to understand what are all the components that went into the success of that. And then how do you take all of that data and information and, you know, social context and be able to replicate that in something new that you're creating? And then I think, you know, from an aesthetic point of view, you have to remember that images are jam-packed with pieces of information.
right? So not only are they beautiful, they show you place, they show you purpose, they show you so many different intentions. And so that is really what your audience is going to pick up on. And so when you start identifying that, and then you start getting into and putting them into the systems and testing them. And remember, you don't always have to use your largest channel to test things. So if you have a very large, let's say, Instagram channel and a lesser developed Twitter channel, you can always test some things in Twitter, see how it does, and then maybe change them and nuance them a bit for your audience that you really know on Instagram, and try those things. So you should always be testing and learning and developing your eye based off of what your audience responds to. Now I'll say one more component to that. 90% of the work that you do should be around what your audience likes. So you should be generating content and building in that way. That said, your business has to continue to grow and you need to develop new audiences. So what is the 10% that might not perform as well, but is going to help you start getting into the feeds and interacting with new audiences and really build those pieces? And you have to commit to those, knowing that they won't be as successful, but in the long run, they'll help you generate a new audience.
Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Federica.
Have a nice
Stay
day.
safe. Okay.
Yes, you too.
Our next question is going to come from Julianna Ponce. So we're just going to bring her up. Drew, you're so good at answering questions. No wonder you were our professor. So I
you
think
were the first person to give me a shot at education, Imran.
Well, we're really glad, because those education courses are super popular right now. I see that Julianna has now joined us. Julianna, are you going to come on screen and turn on your video so we can see you?
Of course. Also, sorry about the look. You know, quarantine look type of thing. Let me see.
We're all in quarantine look. It's cool.
I think I've come on. Share screen. Nope. Okay.
There you go.
Hi, Julianna.
I think that this is great.
Where are
though,
you
if I'm honest.
today? Yeah.
I am in London, actually.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Mm-hmm. So my accent's from the States, but I am here. I've been here for about 7 years, so it's been quite a while.
Okay, great. What's your question for Drew?
Okay, so I basically have a very young brand that we've started here in London. We have everything basically everything is made here in London. Our teams are all here in London. So we are all about slow fashion and luxury. So my question for you is, basically we just shot our kind of debut big collection last week. The location was closed that night, so we got really lucky. So what would you say for, you know, young brands and people like that we're bringing out collections that we've worked on for so long, a lot of investment has been put into it. How would you say to market this in, you know, a time of full closure?
Sure.
Or how to launch it in a way?
Yeah, and I think that this is a very you know, specific question probably to your business, but I think probably a lot of people have the same question, and I think everyone was able to hear it. The idea is you know, a collection's been shot and everything's been done, and is this the right time to launch? I think that you have to ask yourself a couple of questions, and I think that this has to do much more around, you know, your marketing timeline, your finances, and all of that type of thing, of course. But is this the right time? Is this the right time? And do you have a large audience's attention? A couple of things play into that. There is a large audience online right now looking for content and looking for you know, things. So, you know, the platforms are much more highly engaged. You're seeing you know, whether it be brands or celebrities, their engagement is at an all-time high. So people are looking for content. So at this point, you do have an engaged audience, so they will be there. So I think that that's great. The other piece too, which is kind of a tangent to your question, but give me one moment, is that one of the things that is really important is, and everyone should be thinking about this, whether you're launching something and holding it, or whether you're trying to fill your calendar. One of the things that this has really brought to light is how important it is to really have a big, large bank of content. So we can't be shooting, it can't be day-to-day calendar creation, and it can't be asset to asset management, because at any time, and we are in a specific health crisis now where, we're not able to shoot and things like that. But I think it starts, begging the question, should something, happen in the world, or a model cancel, or any of the things that you had planned on, we have to have some evergreen content to be able to keep us through those times. So I think that that's one of the things. It's almost like, a savings account. We always have to be putting a little bit away. So as you're shooting, making sure that you have some components, whether it's for a throwback later or to fill your calendars later, that becomes very important. If you're a fashion brand or you're more of a trend-led brand, you're going to have to figure out ways to shoot things that are going to reflect your brands that aren't specifically launches or things like that. But to answer your question, I think it really is up to you and your team. I think that launching new products and things like that, this could be a great time. It just depends. You can do some small kind of testing and seeing how that works with your audience, before you kind of like go out with a large kind of like campaign piece. But you're gonna have to look at your KPIs and match them with what you're seeing happening on your channels right now.
Cool.
Thank you so much, Juliana. I hope that was helpful.
Of course, thank you.
All right. Next up, we have Christopher Fink, who we're gonna bring up on the screen. And Christopher also has a question for Drew. Christopher, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Can we see you too?
How do we do that?
You just say on the left-hand side where it says video. Yeah, bottom left.
Ah, video, sorry.
There you go. Hi, Christopher.
How are you? Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you, Imran and Drew.
Nice to meet you too. Where are you?
I'm in Doha, Qatar.
Oh, wow. Okay. And what do you do in Doha?
I'm the chair of fashion and merchandising for Virginia Commonwealth University, Qatar, based in Doha in Education City.
Okay, wonderful. And what's your question for Drew today?
So Drew, well, I have a couple of things, but Drew, what new career opportunities do you predict will now become available to fashion education and our graduates as a result of the global shift to remote teaching?
I think it's a wonderful question. I think what's going to be very interesting is experts and people who have very specific skill sets. It will no longer be tied to a specific location. So I think that we are going to be able to start, whether that's very sophisticated CGI or whether that is, live streaming expertise or really nuanced kind of careers. I think this new way of working, and I think as young people are being educated, obviously through Zoom or other video tactics, I think that that's going to be a wonderful piece, is that actually these skill sets and these things that you would otherwise have to travel and find these experts. I think that those types of things, like Imran is doing here, but I think we'll be able to get much more nuanced in what those expertise are, because and it will be across industries, right? So whether it's learning an old master way of repairing a painting, all the way to very sophisticated digital and analytics behaviors, modeling, mapping, things like that. I think that those things will become much more available for us so people can become experts. I also think that it will help people in their continuing their education, as they kind of launch into careers and then they have the day-to-day. I think they'll be able to fine-tune their skills as they move up. Either they move up in their company or want to learn additive skills to what they're doing. I think all of those pieces, because they'll be able to do that at night in a much more, I think it's a new trained behavior for us to be learning, on screens as opposed to in person.
Right. Good answer. Yeah, I know. And I one of my professors actually took your digital marketing course, who it was highly recommended.
Oh,
So I certainly I would potentially speak with you later about maybe teaching our students as well.
I love it.
Thanks for joining us, Christopher, all the way from Doha. We hope you're all keeping safe over there.
We are. Thank you so much.
Our next question is coming from Sinead. And Sinead is, I don't think, coming onto the screen, but Sinead's question is, in the current scenario, many luxury stores are closed and they're just relying on online channels. How will luxury brands win in recreating that same luxury experience online?
Yeah, I think that that's a wonderful question, and I think it's just like anything. I think obviously the current health crisis has sped a lot of these things up. So I think we're learning while doing, but I think that it was. I think obviously this is where things have been headed and going.
There's Sinead. Oh, she's here. Hi, Sinead.
Sorry, I couldn't figure out how to be on with the video and with the audio. Sorry.
That's okay. Where are you in the world today, Sinead?
I'm just in London.
Okay.
Okay.
And Drew is in the midst of answering your question. So Drew, I'll let you continue. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
So,
thank you.
Great question. And I think what I was mentioning before is that I think given the health crisis, I think that we're all of the digital capabilities have been sped up, and they've been sped up at a very kind of like quick pace to keep up with the market. To your point, there are locations that are closed, and people are having to shop, purchase, experience things in far different ways. And so I think it's been a learning experience. But I think to answer your specific question, I think that what we are going to have to do, and I think the luxury sector is very interesting, is how does luxury behave on digital and social platforms, where it is, it can't be a meme. It can't be all of those wonderful things that, become so self-syndicating, because it is a product and bringing those things to life. I think that the luxury brands, across all, and I follow all of them and keep close tabs on them. I think what they're doing with influencers and how they're really using influencers as surrogates to bring their message to much larger audiences, I think that is a very wonderful way. A lot of the luxury brands also were very late to digital commerce, and so I think that there will be a lot of catch up there. But I think it's really thinking about your digital footprint and the whole surface area as your largest flagship store. And so what are all the components that you build into your flagship store, whether that is, for a fashion luxury brand, premiumization in your store, or something that people couldn't otherwise experience if they weren't in your environment. How do we bring all of those things to life at scale? And I think also the customer service component will become a much larger piece, whether that is being able to talk to a representative, or talk to a sales associate, talk to someone who's very knowledgeable in the brand heritage. I think all of those tools, you will see a much larger uptick in the use of those.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sinead. We have time for one more question, and we're going to bring Sam Morell up on the screen. And Sam has a question for us. Thank you, by the way, for all your questions. These are great questions, and I hope there's more than 450 people participating, or 430 people participating right now. So hopefully these questions are relevant to some of the things on your mind. And there we go, there's Sam. Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hi, Sam. Yeah, I had to do the same window adjustment at my house. It was like,
there we go.
Yeah.
Is that better?
You're a bit backlit, but that's okay. Maybe.
Yeah,
there
you go.
I'm now showing you my nice alcohol stash. I don't know what
Okay,
that
well, you might need that for later after the lockdown is getting to you.
Okay, hello everybody.
Sam, tell us a bit about your question for Drew today.
Yeah, my question is really, I've, like everyone, is, we're all being very, very disorientated with all this. And I am very much I'm a creative design consultant. So my whole role at the moment in life is to think of things laterally and out of the box. And one thing I've been observing is how messages are coming through, actively observing this from different countries on this particular issue. I'm also mindful of the emails that are coming into my inbox from extremely reputable companies. And this comment comes with great compassion and empathy attached to it, because we're all dealing with such an unknown. So we may be sending what we feel is an empathetic message, but then that can be totally annihilated by the next influx of general marketing that might be going out on an event to come up. And if that event is in a month's time, when clearly the message is that this is not going away in a month, I wonder how sensitive that is. But the second concern, which I think Drew has already raised, is how do we get our teams to be culturally aware of how this incredibly challenging situation is progressing.
So Sam, we're going to run out of time very shortly, but maybe Drew, you can address that question on how teams can be made culturally aware to make ensure that marketing messages are appropriate.
Absolutely, and I think given the capability of digital, I think the best thing about digital is you can also get inputs from it. It's not just a push, it's also an input. So whether that is reaching out to your digital community to check in on them, I know that I'm constantly checking in with people around the world who are on my M.A.C team, whether it's makeup artists or whether it's creative directors in regions, and really just getting a sense around what are you feeling today? What are your larger teams feeling today? And if you work for a small brand or you're a freelancer, it is reaching out and understanding, map some people around the world and start using them as your barometer for how things are going throughout the world, and start checking in on those folks so that you can understand, again, where different countries are in this time are very, very different. And so we need to make sure that we're delivering those right messages. So I would tell you, just take an inventory, make sure that you have a group of people, whether it's your friends or your coworkers, and make sure that you have a clear understanding when you're trying to build and create a message.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sam, for your question. And Drew, we've already run out of time. That was 30 quick minutes. So thank you for taking the time to join us. For those of you who have enjoyed listening to Drew, he has an excellent course on digital marketing available as part of our BoF education offering. And BoF education online courses are part of our overall membership at BoF, and you can subscribe to that membership now. We're offering a $1 or £1 30-day trial at the moment. So pretty much anyone, anywhere who's in isolation and has extra time on their hands and wants to use that time constructively and productively instead of just binging Netflix, well, you can binge Drew instead. And let me tell you, binging Drew will be much more educational.
I can't promise.
I can, because I've seen the course. Thanks again, Drew. I hope you're keeping safe. Let's keep in touch. All right. Take care, and thanks everyone for joining us. If you have any more feedback, you can share your feedback on social media using the hashtag BoF Live.